The Divine Dialogue, an excerpt from the Book of Job in the Holy Bible. Narrated by Michael Anthony Scott. Produced by thoughtaudio.com. In the opening story of Job, Satan approaches God and challenges him, stating that Job's faith is only strong because God has blessed him with good fortune and prosperity. Satan suggests that if Job were to lose everything he had, including his wealth, family, and health, he would surely curse God and lose his faith. God accepts Satan's challenge and permits him to test Job's faith. Satan proceeds to cause a series of calamities that befall Job, including the destruction of his property, the death of his children, and the onset of a painful and debilitating illness. Despite these losses, Job remains steadfast in his faith and refuses to curse God. However, Job questions God's justice and has challenged God to explain the reason for his suffering.
Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind, and said, "Who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Gird up your loins like a man, for I will demand of you, and you will answer. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Declare it to me if you have understanding. Who has laid the measures of it, if you know? Or who has stretched the lines upon it? Whereupon are the foundations fastened? Or who laid the cornerstone of it, when the morning stars sang together, and all the sons of God shouted for joy? Or who shut up the seas with doors when it broke forth, as if it had issued out of the womb? When I made the cloud its garment, and thick darkness a swaddling band for it, and broke up for it my decreed place, and set bars and doors, and said, Thus far you shall come, but no further. Here shall your proud waves be stayed. Have you commanded the morning since your days, and caused the dayspring to know its place, that it might take hold of the ends of the earth, that the wicked might be shaken out of it? It is turned as clay to the seal, and now they stand as a garment. From the wicked their light is withholden, and their high arms shall be broken. Have you entered into the springs of the sea, or have you walked in search of the deep? Have the gates of death been opened unto you, or have you seen the doors of the shadow of death? Have you perceived the breadth of the earth? Declare if you know it all. Where is the way where light dwells? And as for darkness, where is its place, that you should take it to its bounds, that you should know the paths to its house? Do you know it because you were born then, or because the numbers of your days is great? Have you entered into the treasures of the snow, or have you seen the treasures of the hail, which I have reserved against the time of trouble, against the day of battle and war? By what way is the light parted, which scatters the east wind upon the earth? Who has divided a watercourse for the overflowing of waters, or a way for the lightning and thunder, to cause it to rain on the earth where no man is, on the wilderness wherein there is no man, to satisfy the desolate and waste ground, to cause the bud of the tender herb to spring forth? Has the rain a father, or who has begotten the drops of dew? Out of whose womb came the ice, and who has gendered the hoary frost of heaven? The waters are hid as with a stone, and the face of the deep is frozen. Can you bind the sweet influences of Pleiades, or loose the bands of Orion? Can you bring forth Mazzaroth in his season, or can you guide Arcturus with his sons? Do you know the ordinances of heaven? Can you set its dominion in the earth? Can you lift up your voice to the clouds, so that an abundance of waters may cover you? Can you send lightnings, that they may go and say unto you, Here we are? Who has put wisdom in the inward parts of the soul? Or who has given understanding to the heart? Who can number the clouds in wisdom? Or who can stay the bottles of heaven, when the dust grows into hardness, and the clods cleave fast together? Will you hunt the prey for the lion, or fill the appetite of their young cubs, when they crouch in their dens, and abide in the covert to lie in wait? Who provides for the raven his food, when his young ones cry unto God, when they wander for lack of meat? So you know the time when the wild goats of the rock bring birth, or mark the day when the hinds do calve. Can you number the months that they fulfill, or know the time when they give birth? They bow themselves, they give birth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking, they grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. Who has sent out the wild ass free, or who has loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings. Who is he that scorns the multitude of the city? He neither regards the crying of the driver. The range of mountains is his pasture, after he searches after every green thing. Will the unicorn be willing to serve you, or abide by your crib? Can you bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after you? Will you trust him because his strength is great, or will you leave your labor to him? Will you believe him that he will bring home your seed and gather it into your barn? Did you give the goodly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich, who leaves her eggs in the earth, and warms them in the dust, and forgets that the foot may crush them, or that the wild beasts may break them? She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, because God has deprived her of wisdom, neither has he imparted to her understanding. Do you know what time she lifts herself up on high, so that she scorns the horse and his rider? Have you given the horse its strength? Have you clothed his neck with thunder? Can you make him afraid as a grasshopper? The glories of his nostrils is terrible. He paws in the valley and rejoices in his strength. He goes on to meet the armed men. He mocks at fear and is not frightened, nor does he turn back from the sword. The quiver rattles against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swallows the ground with his fierceness and rage, nor does he believe that it is the sound of the trumpet. He says among the trumpets, Ha ha! And he smells the battle from afar, and also the thunder of the captains, and their tumultuous shouting. Does a hawk fly by your wisdom, and stretch her wings toward the south? Does the eagle mount up at your command, and make her nest on high? She dwells and abides high on the rocky mountainside, upon the crag of its rocks, and the strong place. From there she seeks her prey, and her eyes behold from afar off. Her young ones suck up blood, and where the slain are, there is she. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, Shall he that contends with the Almighty also instruct him? He that reproves God, let him answer. Then Job answered the Lord and said, Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer you? I will lay my hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, but I will not answer, yea, not twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Gird up your loins like a man. I will demand of you, and you will declare unto me. Will you also disannul my judgments? Will you condemn me that you may be righteous? Have you an arm like God? Or can you thunder with a voice like him? Deck yourself now with majesty and excellency, and array yourself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the range of your wrath, and behold everyone that is proud, and abase him. Look on everyone that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then will I also confess unto you that your own right hand can save you. Behold now the behemoth, which I made before you. He eats grass as an ox. Lo, his strength is in his loins. His force is in the navel of his belly. He moves his tail like a cedar. The sinew of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong pieces of brass. His bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make the sword to approach him. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lies under the shady trees, in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass about him. Behold, he drinks up a river, and hastens not. He trusts that he can drop Jordan into his mouth. He takes it with his eyes. His nose pierces through snares. Can you draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which lets you down? Can you put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto you? Will he speak soft words unto you? Will he make a covenant with you? Will you take him for a servant forever? Will you play with him as with a bird, or will you bind him for your maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Can you fill his skin with barbed iron, or his head with fish spears? Lay your hand upon him. Remember the battle, and do no more. Behold, the hope of him that attempts his feet is in vain. Shall not one be cast down, even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then can stand before me? Who has prevented me, that I should repay him? All that is under the whole of heaven is mine. I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his beauteous proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible round about. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. They are joined one to another. They stick together so they cannot be sundered. By his nestings a light does shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goes smoke, as out of a seething cauldron. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out of his mouth. In his neck remains strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves. They cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone, yea, as hard as a piece of the nether millstone. When he raises himself up, the mighty are afraid. By reasons of breakings, they purify themselves. The sword of him that strikes him cannot hold, neither the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. He esteems iron as straw, and brass as rotten wood. The arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned by him into stubble. Darts are counted as debris. He laughs at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreads sharp-pointed things upon the mire. He makes the deep to boil like a pot. He makes the sea like a pot of ointment. He makes a path to shine after him. One would think the deep to be hoary. Upon earth there is nothing like him who is made without fear. He beholds all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know you can do everything, and that no thought can be withheld from you. Who is he that hides counsel without knowledge? Therefore have I uttered that I understand not things too wonderful for me, but which I knew not. Hear, I beseech you, and I will speak. I will demand of you, and you will declare unto me. I have heard you by the hearing of the ear, but now my eyes see you. Wherefore I abhor myself, and repent in dust and ashes. And it was so, that after the Lord had spoken these words unto Job, the Lord said to Eliphaz the Temanite, My wrath is kindled against you, and against your two friends, for you have not spoken of me the thing that is right, as my servant Job has. Therefore take unto him now 7 bullocks and 7 rams, and go to my servant Job, and offer up yourselves a burnt offering. My servant Job shall pray for you, for him will I accept, lest I deal with you after your folly, in that you have not spoken of me the things which are right, as my servant Job has done. So Eliphaz the Temanite, and Bildad the Shuhite, and Zophar the Naamathite went, and did according as the Lord commanded them. The Lord accepted Job. The Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. The Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came unto him all the brethren and all his sisters, and all they that had been of his acquaintance before. They ate bread with him in his house, and they bemoaned him. They comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. And every man gave him a piece of silver, and every one an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job's days more than his beginning, for he had 14,000 sheep, and 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yoke of oxen, and 1,000 she-asses. He also had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he called the name of the first Jemimah, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Hurin-Hapuk. In all the land were no women found so fair as the daughters of Job, and their father gave them inheritance among their brethren. After this, Job lived 140 years, and saw his sons and his sons' sons for 4 generations. So Job died, being old and full of days.
We hope you enjoyed this interesting audio title. For more information on all of our titles, please visit us at thoughtaudio.com.